Melissa,
Yeah.
before we start recording, I'm just stressed because I'm like, there's so many products out there. And I just wish I knew a chemist who could tell me, like, here's some things that are great and that I like, that are good. And here's some things that you should definitely avoid from a chemistry perspective. And I just don't know what to do.
Well, oh my gosh, guess what?
What?
I'm a chemist. And I have a list of 3 things that I try to avoid and 3 things that I love as a chemist. Kitchen edition.
Oh my gosh, this is what I need.
Let's get into it.
Okay.
Hey, I'm Melissa.
I'm Jam.
And I'm a chemist.
And I'm not.
And welcome to Chemistry for Your Life.
The podcast helps you understand the chemistry of your everyday life.
So this is a little bit of a different bonus episode. It's not just only based around listener questions, but I have seen things come up where it's like, here's 3 things I would never do as a doctor and 3 things that I love as a doctor.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, yeah, there's a lot of things, and this won't all be new to people who've listened to every single podcast episode, but I thought I would summarize the top 3 things that I've sort of taken away from this podcast of things I really don't use and or like habits that I have, and then things that I really love using.
Nice.
And I do have a bonus also.
Heck yeah. These have personally, I was being so dumb at the beginning. Sorry about that. But there's so many things.
I thought it was funny.
There's so many things that we've come across over the years that have made a notable difference for me. Melissa's very careful about not coming down in like a really hard line way unless the science is like alarming,
Yeah.
But where it's like, just would recommend not doing it. And having learning about the science behind it helps me have like an informed feeling about that. And I've noticed many times I've been like, okay, yeah, I'm not doing X, Y, or Z anymore. I'm being careful about which kind of water bottle I use and not leaving it in the car where it's getting hot. Just simple stuff that is so everyday that I'm like, now that I know, I can't go back, but also I'm glad I know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I don't think these are going to be surprising to you, Jim, and I think you actually hit on one a little bit already.
Oops.
But I think that, and they won't be surprising, I think, to people who have listened a lot, but maybe like these are the things that have stuck in my mind as we've gone through a lot of these episodes and that I've learned a lot as a chemist. So number 1 is I always try to avoid using Teflon or nonstick anything. Now I'll use silicone, nonstick, like literal silicone. But I don't use Teflon pans. I don't use any alternate version of nonstick. In our house, we have only cast iron pans and stainless steel pans.
Nice.
That's all we use. And I feel pretty strongly about that one. I even feel a little uncomfortable if people end up, like if I'm at somebody's house and they're using nonstick, I'm like, ooh, that's not the best.
Yeah.
But that's one that I definitely try to avoid is Teflon or nonstick anything. A second one I try to avoid is vintage plastic utensils. I love thrifting. Okay. And I've gone through, my grandma passed away in the last few years. We went through her house and I found like some really cool mugs and things. And then I came across the cutest set of vintage cups and plates, and they looked like they were very mid-century. They were so cute, but they were plastic.
Interesting.
And we've learned a lot about plastic leaching, and it's made me want to avoid plastic where I can, but those early formulations of plastic, we knew even less about them.
Right.
And as they've gotten older and they've started to break down, I have a lot of concerns about that. In general, I actually try to avoid plastic where I can. We have mostly glass containers. There's a few plastic containers we have, but it's like to seal like flour, that we already have in a bag or something like that. I, like you said, try not to drink from plastic water bottles. And if I do have a plastic water bottle, I don't leave it in the car. We learned a lot of cool stuff from our community member, Latila, who talked about like, she actually studies the things that are leaching. Right. Super interesting.
Yeah.
And I never like use plastic that's been heated like in the microwave. Even if it's like a plastic Tupperware that says it's microwave safe, definitely those like fast food containers. I try to always avoid heating those things up in the microwave. I'll just always transfer it to a regular plate and not use plastic. So that's the second one.
Yeah.
And then the third thing I really like to avoid as a chemist is recycling dirty materials. So this isn't a product, but recycling is, we've learned, I'm pretty passionate about recycling. We've learned that some of the plastic recycling doesn't work the way we think it does, but that we can optimize our recycling by putting it in the proper containers. So, I separate out my Target bags or Kroger grocery bags. I separate those out and take them to a community center where I can recycle them. And then in the stuff that actually goes in my recycling bin outside my house, I make sure that it's rinsed off and clean because that gives it the best chance to actually be recycled.
Right.
And I really do try to prioritize recycling paper and cans as much as possible. And then those plastics that I know actually can be recycled in that. And our friend Vienna told me that's something that she learned from our podcast that sticks in her mind too. So those are my three things. I try to avoid using Teflon or nonstick anything in the kitchen. I avoid plastic, but especially vintage plastic and heated plastic in the kitchen. And then I avoid recycling dirty materials or materials that can't really be recycled in those containers.
I've said this before too, but since our stuff about Teflon and whatever else, when I've been looking at different brands that sell different pans, I got turned on to the whole cast iron thing as well, by the way. I've been surprised how sneaky their marketing is, where they'll say, oh, it's not Teflon, but it's like, it's a different PFAS basically.
Right.
It's like, we use PTFE or they just use a different one. And so just be very careful. If this is something you're wanting to get into and look into and avoid, just don't be tricked.
Yeah. At this point, I don't know of a polymer that can be on a skillet that I'm 100% confident about. It's just, we just don't know. So.
Yeah. Other than the polymer that.
Right.
Yeah.
That we make, but it's not like a permanent polymer, right? That's why we have to continually remake it when we use cast iron.
Yeah.
So this brings me to the three things that I love in my kitchen.
Nice.
I love cast iron pans. Like I already told you guys that. Spoiler alert. Cast iron pans, I thought that they would be like fussy and hard to manage, but they really haven't been too bad for me, and it's kind of fun. Even ours right now, it's like, oh, these probably need to be like re-seasoned. But I'm like, well, I don't have time right now, and they're fine. They are fine. This stuff doesn't stick too bad, and it's totally fine.
Nice.
I love glass storage containers. I feel like those are a really great option. You can heat them up in the microwave. We have some like glass storage containers with plastic lids, but I just don't include the plastic lids when I'm heating them up in the microwave.
Right.
And I love recycling glass, aluminum, and paper most of all. So those are the three things that I love.
Nice.
And then a bonus that I wanted to include, that again, it's not really a product, is I love composting.
Nice.
And speaking of our last episode where you talked about one of your worst smells is like rotten trash. I have kind of a funny story about that, but I've noticed since we started composting, so we put all of our vegetables, vegetable scraps, eggshells, paper towels in our yard waste bin because the city of Denton will compost them for us, and someone stole our composter.
That's right. I forgot. I hadn't asked about what happened with that after.
Who does that?
Yeah, it's very weird.
They just stole a composter full of literal trash.
Yeah.
Like literally just rotting vegetables, whatever. Anyway, not my problem.
So weird.
Who does that? But our kitchen smells better because it's like we don't just have all this rotting food in this bag. Our trash doesn't smell as bad when we take it out.
Yeah.
So I have noticed like a significant reduction in odor in trying to prioritize composting.
Did I ask you about this? Do y'all like have a little bin for just putting the scraps and then you do take it out to your composter thing?
Yeah, so we have a little bowl, and it's actually an old Pyrex bowl from my grandma that has little mushrooms on it, which I thought was appropriate for composting.
Cool. That's very cool.
And throughout the day, we just dump like any vegetable stuff in it.
Yeah.
And then just at the end of the day, we'll just take it out and dump it in the yard waste. Or sometimes, honestly, we try to do it most days. We like to have a routine where we put the house to bed at night.
Mm-hmm.
But then if we don't get all the way, like, okay, we didn't do that every day or whatever, it's not like it smells terrible the next morning.
Right.
But it's like, it starts to be like, that looks gross.
Yeah.
So we usually will take it out at least every other day, but mostly we'll just dump it every day. And it's like our yard waste bin is just like right outside the garage. It's not too far.
Yeah.
So just, taking it out once a day is fine. And it's like the peels from our avocado, like you cut up the top from your strawberries. In summer, you have to be more careful because you get fruit flies.
Mm-hmm.
So we really take it out every day in the summer.
Yeah.
Mason's coffee grounds he puts in there, and we take those out. So, yeah.
I've kept thinking about like, so we don't have a composter thing, but we could just put our stuff in the yard waste bin. But it's like I do need to make myself get a different container to put those things in.
Yeah.
Because I'm just so in the habit of they go in the trash, and it's the most available thing. Dump it in the ground is right there.
Yeah.
And so just getting a little something. I know they sell stuff. The nice thing about that might be that it may be easier for it not to smell and maybe not get too fly attracted, where it's like has a lid to it,
Yeah.
But it's like it doesn't need to be massive. It's not like I've got huge bundles of vegetable scraps every day or whatever.
And you can just use like a mixing bowl. Like we a lot of times just use a stainless steel mixing bowl, and the Pyrex bowl from my grandma is just like a Pyrex bowl. And we don't have a lid on it now, although in this summer, like at our old house, we're more prone to flies than we are at this one.
Yeah.
So if that happens, then I'll use a lid.
Yeah.
If I'm like, oh, there's flies, that's gross, then I'll use a lid. And sometimes I'll take it out like right after I cook or something, but I'm surprised by how little it actually has attracted flies.
Good, nice.
So,
yeah. We get those pretty bad too in the summer, but also we have a lot of like kids coming in and out when the weather's like getting more decent. Then it feels like today, for instance, I was like, why are there like 5 flies in here? It's not even like the middle of summer.
Yeah.
But I think it's just because we were coming in and out a lot earlier today. So I do want to avoid that.
Yeah, that happened. We had some people painting our house. They had to paint our door, so the door had to just be open.
Yeah. Yep.
And so our door is just open. And I was like, there's so many flies in here.
Yeah.
But yeah. So that is 3 things that I try to avoid as a chemist, and 3 things that I love as a chemist, kitchen edition. And let us know if you like this, because I also have 3 products I would try to avoid using as a chemist, and 3 products I love, cosmetic/bathroom edition. Nice.
Well, I love this. So that's 1 vote.
Yay. I'm glad. I just thought it'd be a nice summary of things I think about a lot, when I'm in this.
Yeah.
I also thought like, I could do things like baking soda versus baking powder, but we could do more roundups of different categories of things later on.
Yeah. I love this.
Great. All right. Well, I guess we could just wrap it up there and say thank you so much for listening and coming to learn about chemistry with us.
Should we do our full usual wrap up?
I say let's do it.
Okay. If you've got an idea for a kind of list of things like this, or a question about chemistry, about anything, or follow up, please let us know at chemforyourlife.com. That's where we have a spot where you can submit some questions and stuff. chemforyourlife.com to share thoughts, ideas, questions with us. If you'd like to help us keep our show going and contribute to cover the costs of making it, you can join our super cool Chem community of patrons on patreon.com/chemforyourlife. There you get an ad-free feed of the show. You get an extra bonus episode every month just for y'all. You get some behind-the-scenes stuff, and you just get to be part of helping the show exist and keeping it free for everybody else. But if you're not able to do that, you can still help us by subscribing to our favorite podcast app, rating, writing, review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, subscribing on YouTube, buying a little shirt or sweatshirt or hat or something over on our store at chemforyourlife.com/store. You can represent chemistry wherever you go. Those are some ways for you to keep the show going and keep it free and keep it fun and help other people discover the show and have the chemistry of their everyday life explained to them.
That's right. And to thank those people who make this podcast happen, that make it easy for us to keep coming and doing this work and to have all the resources that we need to get this information out to y'all. We want to shout out Hunter R., Avishai B., Chelsea B., Chris and Claire S., Stephen B., Timothy P., Christina G., Brian K., Jacob T., Venus R, Suzanne P, Katrina B, Latila, Rachel R, Elizabeth P, Erica B, Cullen R, Jeanette N, John T, Sierra L, Jesse R, Scott B, Doreen V, Chelsea M, Autoclave, Heather R, Julie S, Vince W, Ash, Emily H, Kyle M, and Emily M. Thank you so much for all that you do to make this happen. This podcast work the way it does. We couldn't do it without you. And if you want to know more about what we talked about in this episode, we don't have specific references, but we do have an episode on every one of these topics that you can definitely go check out. You can learn about glass, you can learn about recycling. There's multiple episodes on that, multiple episodes on Teflon, and even an episode on composting. So if this is maybe one of your first times, or if you don't remember us going over those episodes, those can be some good resources for you.
Yeah.
Yay, chemistry.
Yay, chemistry.